we saw an incredible reaction to the new House Speaker today, which was, it was very pitchforky. I have to say, it was a pitchforky reaction to the new House Speaker. Hold on a second. I'll find his name here somewhere. It's Mike Johnson. No, I'm only kidding. My team's I know his name. I'm making a joke because nobody really knew who Mike Johnson was before he became Speaker. And we all know he became Speaker after this nasty House fight. But he's Speaker now. And of all the things you could go after him, I've heard they've gone after him because he backed Trump's electoral challenges. A lot of Democrats filed those same challenges when they didn't like the electoral results. But, when it's Trump, it's too insurrection-y. And okay, but that's fine. You can criticize him for that. Instead, Jen Psaki decided, what his real problem is? That he's faithful. He's a person of faith. He's a Christian. Listen to her.
The Bible doesn't just inform his worldview. It is his worldview. In fact, during his first speech in his new job, Johnson suggested that his election as Speaker was an act of God. Talk about a bit of a humble brag there. I would love to know what passage in the Bible told Johnson to become one of the most important architects behind Trump's effort to overturn the 2020 election. Which passage? Was it God whispering in his ear to ignore the Constitution? He clearly envisions a country that's less democratic and less tolerant. The problem with Johnson isn't at all his faith, but when those beliefs encroach on the rights of others, that's when it becomes dangerous.
She's so bad. I have to just say, her delivery is terrible. Her attempt to be snarky fails. She's just too wooden. She can't pull it off. She's trying to. I don't know if she wrote that script or somebody wrote it for her, but she doesn't deliver it like it's her own. It was a fail on many levels, like her show, which has no viewers whatsoever. I think it's just you and me. Andrew, we're the only ones. And now my audience has gotten some exposure, but they're not going over to tune in, Jen. Sorry. The nerve. Was it God whispering in his ear to be an insurrectionist? What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, I have to say, like everybody, when they appointed Mike Johnson Speaker, I was like, who the hell is this guy? And I started looking him up. While I'm researching him, I suddenly realized that at the first Trump prayer breakfast, I was sitting next to him, and we had what must have been a 20-minute conversation. He had just been elected to Congress. And I, just making conversation at the breakfast table, I said, so what do you think you can accomplish? We had a very long conversation. He was earnest. He was intelligent. He understood the workings of the House, which is the most important thing about the Speaker, by the way. It's really not his opinions, his personal opinions, because he only has one vote like everybody. It's really whether he understands how to maneuver through the House politics, which is very difficult to do. And he really seemed to know that stuff. So I was very impressed with him. The fact that they hate his religion is uproariously funny. I mean, the New York Times wrote a story about it and then published readers' letters about it. And if you ever read the letters in the New York Times, they are no more allowed to disagree with leftism than the writers in the New York Times. So you only get letters on one side. It's not a selection of people who say, I kind of like his faith. No, it's just like, this is the end of the world, that he believes in God. This is comical, but it's so normal on the left. When Mel Gibson brought out The Passion of the Christ, do you remember the absolute firestorm about the violence? Oh, it's so violent. It's so terrible. When has a movie ever been condemned for violence on the left? When has what bloodshed has ever been condemned before? When the C.S. Lewis Narnia movies came out about, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the New Yorker, so help me God, off one reference in one of C.S. Lewis's letters about whipping, which is a typical British sexual fascination, they called him a sexual pervert. I actually wrote to the guy and said, when on earth have you ever called anybody anywhere a sexual pervert before, no matter what they were doing? Never.
My God,
Suddenly
never.
These things become bad if you believe in God. Suddenly, God is the enemy of all they believe in, because he says that we're not an accident. Life is not an accident. Our conscience is real. Our bodies are real. Our gender is real. All of those things that they are trying to destroy, and that we cannot finally decide alone how to make the world a better place. It just doesn't work that way. And so they just absolutely panic. He's a man of faith. He's absolutely right that the Bible does say that the authorities are appointed by God and chosen by God. He doesn't say that the authorities are always right or that you can't stand up to the authorities. Just about everybody in the Bible, in the New Testament, was killed by the authorities because they stood up for them, because they stood up for their faith. So he knows all that. But he is also pointing out that the ideas that fashioned American society and British society are what they call politely Judeo-Christian ideas. They are ideas that come to us through the Gospels by way of the Old Testament. And again, as we started at the beginning, that's why people hate the Jews so much, because those ideas are ideas that constrain you. They constrain your ego. They constrain your powers. And they're the ideas that created this notion that people are individuals who should be free. And when the founders said that we are all created equal, they didn't obviously mean that I was as good a basketball player as LeBron James. I wish. They didn't mean that. What they did mean is that we are all equal in our right to make our own lives, to make decisions about our own lives, and our right not to be governed over by random people who think that they know better than we do. And so that's what Mike Johnson believes. That's basically his belief system, and he believes he's backed up by the Bible. And the fact is, without some kind of faith in that the human being is not an accident, you don't have that faith in freedom. That's why the left is so glad to get rid of it. That's why the left is so glad to tell us to shut up, because they don't have that faith, because everything about leftism is materialist. And so I think it is kind of comical, the panic that God creates on the left the minute they hear about him, the minute they think that he might have slipped into some of our entertainment, the minute they think that, oh my goodness, somebody might actually have faith and not just be pounding the Bible, but might actually believe, they just throw their aprons over the face and run screaming out of the kitchen. It's wonderful to behold. And I love the fact that he's giving it to them both barrels. And I'm impressed so far.
Did you know that poor sleep can cause weight gain, mood issues, poor mental health, and lower productivity? Sleep is the foundation of our mental and physical health and performance in our days. Having a consistent nighttime routine is non-negotiable. Introducing Beam Dream. Love that. Beam Dream. Today, my listeners get a special discount on Beam Dream Powder, their best-selling healthy hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Now available in delicious seasonal flavors like sea salt caramel and white chocolate peppermint. Better sleep has never tasted better. A recent clinical study revealed Dream helped 93% of users wake up feeling more refreshed. Just mix Beam Dream into hot water or milk, stir or froth, and enjoy before bedtime. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, take advantage of their biggest sale of the year and get up to 50% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/MK. Use code CYBER at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/MK. Use code CYBER for up to 50% off your order. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.